Hello and welcome to the outdoor video vlog by yours truly. This time you find me on the fell called Great Coum in the Yorkshire Dales, and this is my final Dales 30, so this is the 30th out of 30. So I've managed to do the the challenge. And in the background you see the summit cairn and the tent. There's the tent there, so I managed to camp on the summit, all which indicates the weather is still holding out nicely here in the UK. It hasn't really rained for quite a while now, and the winds aren't too heavy, so I thought I'd risk camping out on the summit. And it was a lovely night out. This is a stunning summit in terms of the views and that. It really is. I think that's the How Gills over there. Anyway, I am going to move down to a little sheltered area. No, there isn't a lot of wind. I may say sod it because of the view of the How Gills behind me. So spectacular. Has to be unbelievable. Enough waffling. So in this vid I want to talk about playing outdoors, really. Playing outside. So I've got my first outdoor gig in a few days, and I'd like to share some thoughts and tips on that if you've never played outdoors before, or if you're a little bit trepidation of it. I will move down. The wind is a bit of a breeze. I'll make sure I don't fall over. Well, hey, yeah, there's a little nice seated area. Perfect. That's good, isn't it? So yeah, playing outdoors, it's a different experience completely from playing inside. The first thing to notice, I think, is that if you're using like an amp and that and speaker, the sound is just dead. There's nothing for the sound to bounce back off. So you've got this kind of dead, dry sound coming out of your amp. Like, you know, that can throw you a little bit if you're not used to it. So be prepared for that one. And the other is, if you're playing, say you got a drummer there, you're one side of the drummer and maybe the other guy is the other side of the drummer. If you're used to hearing those people play through their amps or whatever, it's often outdoors, the sound's not really going anywhere, and it can be very difficult to hear people the other side of the stage. So monitoring is a real key factor, I think, in when you're playing live outdoors. You've really got to be careful on that one. The irony of that is you often don't get the chance of a sound check when you're playing these things. There's usually a quick turnaround because there's a lot of bands on during the day. So you've usually got a quick turnaround. You might be lucky to have a few strums of chords to get some kind of level for the sound guy. And that's it. If there isn't a sound guy, then you've had it basically. But that's a much smaller affairs. Normally there's usually a sound guy knocking around these outdoor things, because if you're going to have an outdoor festival or gig or whatever, it has to be pretty decently arranged, mainly due to the awfully crap weather we get here in the UK. So I'd say the outdoor playing season's probably from the May Day bank holiday, early May to mid-September, and you expect a right mixed bag in that of weather in that window, even though that's the sort of best times of the year to have it. So really keep an eye on the weather, even if that is the most boring subject in the world to you. Keep an eye on the weather forecasts and that. No covered stage is going to give you 100% protection from the elements. So you might want to take some kind of covering for your gear and that, just in case, pedal boards or whatever. Obviously, if you've got stuff plugged in and working, you don't want to be covering up, say, an amp head with a plastic sheet, because it'll overheat. But certainly, if nothing's switched on, you can keep things covered if necessary. What else can we think about here? Obviously, if you're using amp modelers and in-ears, I think that's where you've got an advantage here. That's a lot better for outdoors playing. Obviously, the monitoring situation is so much better. You're forgoing the problems of like a dead stage. it probably is the way forward for so many people, but a lot of us still enjoy using our amps and that. So yeah, there's the usual things. Take all take a spare guitar. I mean, especially in this case, because there's likely to be a very strict time limit that you're on. It's very rare that you'll play an outdoor gig and you're the only band on. So if you do break a string, you need to change that pretty quickly. The usual spare patches, patch cables and guitar cable, all that malarkey, strings, all that stuff goes without saying. The audience sometimes outdoors, the audience will be further away than you might expect. You can find some people that they'll take their own chairs and things like that, but they'll set up quite a way back, and there's a bit of a gap between you and the audience. Even the people stood up might be initially unsure of you and be back a bit. But don't be fazed by that. It's just what it's like outdoors. It's just one of them things. What are we thinking now? Really, it's just trying to project yourself a bit more when you're outdoors, because people are further back and stuff. You don't have to go completely crazy, but yeah, you project, if you can project yourself a little bit more visually, that's always going to help. But playing outdoors is brilliant, and if the weather is great, and everyone's having a good time, there's some of the best gigs you could do. But just be wary of a few facts like the weather, because there's no covered stage is going to be completely weatherproof and that. So you just take a little bit of weatherproofing for your gear just in case, and have fun with it. So it just remains for me to say, from my final Dale's 30, and I am well chuffed with it. Stay safe, keep well, and I'll see you all later, guys. Bye.